Oh,
I don't
Bring
know.
it down. There you go.
Yeah,
Ah, there
my
you go.
goodness.
He
Look
has
at
a
that
forehead
guy.
now. I love it. So that's the approach is going to be as usual, okay, to keep it under Uber discourse during the actual show. We figure in the after show it could go a little crazy. I know, Johnny, you're only good for about 10 minutes for the after show, something like that, 15 tops.
Johnny needs to be done at 6:40.
Okay, that's what I heard. Okay, well, if you need to leave, for the after show and we
Well,
continue or whatever.
he
being
just
busy.
quietly disappears.
Yeah, just quietly
And
disappear.
I go, oh,
It
crap,
says I
I've
have
lost
a
his
flight at
feed.
6:45.
Exactly.
I'm going to have to make a Johnny feed that says missing in action and just throw that on there instead. But I hadn't had time to make it.
All I do is get abuse from Ted.
Well, they can't.
I know.
Yeah.
I love Ted, but he's making it. He won't let anyone interrupt. And I'm like, the goal of this has been interrupt. Don't interrupt me. It's rude. Well, when you talk for 5 minutes, you're being rude by taking over.
Oops. I guess he's not on yet.
No. Or if he is,
What's that?
if he is, he's keeping his mouth shut. But no, he's not.
Hey, Mr. T.
Oh.
Is that light too much in the background on top of my head?
Yeah, you got a light above your head. There's nothing I can do about it.
I can turn it down though. Hold on a second.
See if you turn it down, see if that works. That might.
In your shot, Don, is that fan going off over your head?
Well, I love it when people think they make it look like they're frozen, but yet they got a fan over their head, and so you know they're not, but they're acting like they're frozen.
It's slowing down. I just turned it off. So, how's that?
Mm-hmm. Well, now you got very little lighting. Do you have any lighting that be in front of you?
Yeah, that's what I got right in front of me. Let me turn it up some.
I think you look good. It looks mysterious.
Ooh.
Yes, this is a mysterious
Very evil.
John Old Thomas.
Mr. Grinch, you're a nasty one, Mr. Grinch.
I have a Santa suit.
All right,
Right on.
Hey, Johnny, do you have one of those blow up dolls that you put in your car so you can go in the express lane?
Yeah, that's why I put it in the car.
I don't. I have created a life where I don't have to drive anymore, so I don't have to go on the express lane because I created what I want, which is not needing a car.
And he doesn't need a blow up doll.
Yeah, we won't talk about someone I know who actually has experience with a blow up doll.
Is that Ted Johnson?
Oh, you can't beat a guy when he's not here.
I was just asking a question.
I was told, Johnny, that when I was hosting, I evidently had leading questions and my questions were loaded and therefore showed a little bit of my bias. And I'm like, good. Well, I mean, I was trying my best to help and make sure that it was a fair view of both sides of the situation. But yeah, I have my opinions as well. But I didn't go right. We're killing this many babies. I didn't say that. I continued to use the word abortions and all that. So I was trying to be nice.
Well,
Sorry, I
I
missed that.
disagree. I don't think they were leading. You gave some factual data. We know certain political parties don't like facts, but
Hey, I heard that.
Here comes Don. Jeff, are we in for some fun? Oh, wait. No, this is pardons. This will be an easy one.
How's that, you guys?
Well, you know what? What? Tiberius, we're ready. All right.
Oh, my goodness.
So, Joe Boy, you want me looking straight first, then move over to the teleprompter? Is that what you're saying? Or
Okay, do me a favor. Look at the teleprompter real quick.
okay, I'm on it.
Okay, that's now that's the view I'm going to do.
Okay.
See this angle?
Yeah.
I'm doing the opposite angle, so it's just showing you that way.
Okay.
That way you can be here, and then I'll switch you to that, so you can be reading off that screen at an angle, and
Right.
it just looks like you were reading off the front one.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
Because if I go to that one, the quality of that one sucks.
I get you.
Yes, Johnny Dunn, Don Thomas, Jeff Nolan, and yours truly. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and mute myself from the Zoom. That way the Zoom call doesn't interfere with the broadcast.
Hey, am I on this now?
Yes.
And I muted it just in time.
Aren't you funny?
Hey, Bob, I need to just quickly double check my Zoom on you. There you go. Make sure we can see you there. Okay. Tiberius, you ready? Bob, you ready?
Why not? Let's do.
Okay. Three, two. This is Joe Boyd with WJJ102jams.com recording Third Side Convo with your host, Bob Phipps. Starting in 5, 4, 3. Welcome to Third Side Combo with your host, Bob Phipps. Your panelists today are Donald Thomas, Jeff Nolan, Johnny Dunn, and Joe Boy. And now, your host, Bob Phipps.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Third Side Convo. Tonight we're going to go back in history a little bit and talk about one of the coolest and craziest powers that a president has. It's the pardon. When you're the president and you say, well, it's okay, you're off the hook, or, you can go home now, but you're still in trouble. Now, here's a quick explanation. A pardon is like hitting the delete button on your computer, on your crime. It's like it never even happened. Now, a commutation is when your punishment gets lighter or goes away, but the crime still sticks to your record. All right? You got it? Okay, now, some of these pardons are just plain wild. And did you know, George Washington, our very first president, pardoned 2 guys who were supposed to be hanged because they didn't like paying taxes on whiskey. Yep, whiskey was a big deal back then, and the taxes were. So, and then there's, of course, Andrew Jackson. This is a great one. He tried to save a guy from being hanged because he robbed a mail train by giving him a prison sentence instead. And the guy said, no, I don't want to go to prison, and got hanged. Or Andrew Johnson. Andrew Johnson said on Christmas Day, he goes, all the Confederate soldiers, you got a pardon. That was a good Merry Christmas for them, I'm sure. But, not all pardons are feel-good stories. Gerald Ford pardoned Nixon, which came back to kind of bite him on the butt because he pardoned him for Watergate. But a lot of people have said it cost him his job as president. And then Clinton, pardoned his own brother for drug crimes. And then guess what? He got into trouble again. Obama, of course, pardoned lots of people for, nonviolent drug crimes. Well, but the reason we're going to do that, everybody knows the reason we're looking at the past of pardons, but that's what we want to do. We want to look at the past to see what they have been done. So let's dive right into kind of like what's the origin of these pardons? And let's go ahead and start with some of the weird ones. So Jeff Nolan, I want to go to you. What was the weirdest one to you that you thought?
Well, I mean, weird is a fraught word.
Okay.
I think the ones that I find the most egregious.
All right.
I think that Andrew Johnson is indefensible. I don't see how that is even remotely. In what world do you pardon the leaders of a rebellion that resulted in death? How do you do that? It's crazy, and it really set up a continuously north-south divide in this country and didn't allow Reconstruction to come to fruition. I think that's just.
Well, I'm happy he did. As my great grandfather, the original R.W. Phipps, he was a colonel in the Mississippi Regiment, so I'm actually quite thankful that the Confederate soldiers got pardoned. Johnny Dunn, what do you think? What was a little bit strange to you, or maybe one you didn't even know about?
Well, I didn't know about any of those until you sent them over. And I mean, I didn't think it was weird. I actually applaud Obama for partnering nonviolent drug offenders. Actually, shockingly to everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
agree with you. That
yeah.
seemed to be a very reasonable one. We won't talk about the past that we've had. I guess the only past for most boomers that we talk about is thank God we didn't have cell phones back then. Don Thomas, tell me about
Yeah,
yours. What hit you the best?
Mine is the sheriff from Arizona.
Well, but no, that was a current politician, so we're not talking about him.
No,
If
no,
he-
no, no. Was that did he do that? I thought it was.
Oh
I thought it was-
yeah, yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
It was the sheriff. Okay, that was.
Oh, we're
that was
gonna
the
mute you on. Yeah, we're gonna have
I
to.
didn't say the name though. I didn't say the name.
Well, you didn't say the name, but we're not referring to those. We'll deal with those parts in another 4 years. How's that? We'll talk about those.
Okay, but that was 8 years and 4 years ago.
Tell me another one real quick. Any other one hit your fancy?
I always think one of the most famous one that I think that you just mentioned was the Nixon one. Was that hit
Yeah,
me
that was a
hard.
biggie.
Right.
That was huge. Yeah, I remember that one. I remember most boomers do remember that when they did it. Okay, Joe Boy.
I am not a boomer, so I don't remember it. But hey, I can tell you that Patty Hearst, that was a big deal because here she was committing all these crimes, but she had a reason to get her freedom because she had been through all this stuff. And so, if I remember, I think it was Carter that went ahead and reduced her sentence dramatically and tried to heal the nation over the damage that was occurred and understanding why she did what she did. And then later on, I think it was Clinton that actually completely commuted and removed her sentence altogether and gave her a full pardon. And I thought that was quite interesting.
Good. All right, back
That was a good
back to you, Jeff. What do you think we ought to talk about? Which pardons are maybe the most important? What do you want to talk about?
I think probably
Okay.
I find it fascinating. I honestly think in my heart that Gerald Ford did that with noble intentions.
Yeah.
I just think it was incredibly stupid.
Yes, true.
It cost her the election for sure.
Well, I mean, who cares about that? I think that it just
I care
it
about
just
that.
really set
Jimmy Carter got
a
it.
precedent where you're pardoning for crimes that have not been charged, and you're kind of setting the executive
Good point.
as above the law, and that has been taken advantage of on a number of occasions ever since. And I think that if we could, there's two in my mind that if we could go back and completely undo, it would be Ford and Johnson for very different reasons. But I think that we would potentially be in a better place as a society if those two pardons were not issued.
Well, actually, I think there was some reasons for this kind of stuff. He thought he was healing the nation, but at the same time, if I remember correctly, in the Constitution, it says that a pardon cannot be issued if they had already been impeached, and he had not been impeached yet. So because he hadn't been impeached, they could pardon him then. They could not pardon him later on. And so the timing had to be there for a reason.
He hadn't been charged with a crime.
No, but they had started the impeachment process.
Sure. Well,
and so they needed to be pardoned before that.
Ford was president, obviously, when they pardoned him.
Correct. When they went to go start the impeachment process, he resigned, therefore slowing down the impeachment process. And then that's when Ford decided to pardon him. That way it would completely be able to be done because you cannot pardon an impeached president.
Right. But he should have let the wheels of justice grind on Richard Nixon.
Well, Johnny, do you think you agree that attempt, and I do appreciate what Jeff said, because I do agree that he had noble intentions. Johnny, do you agree with what Ford did?
No, I agree with Jeff completely. I mean, all great relationships in this world involve communication, trust, and respect. And we see the downfall of the trust in the world right now. And it largely started in that point there. And I totally agree with Jeff. We should have let the wheels of justice spin there now. And nobody can be above the law. And I am all for that for both sides for
absolutely,
because they have destroyed.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, I don't know about that one.
I've got plenty of
to respect the institution, but they don't deserve any respect at this point. What have they actually done besides stupid nonsense like this?
Well,
Don, you want to comment on this? Are you?
Go ahead, Don. Go ahead.
I am very conflicted about this, about the pardon and stuff like that. And people, you just said it. The ones who didn't even get a chance to go to trial or even get a chance for the American people to see what happened or have a chance to make their opinion after the trials is the worst ones you can do, because we still work. Remember, they still work for us. It's like in an appointment, they still work for us. We're the American people. We should be allowed to make that judgment, because we're the one that's been paying for his salary, been paying for him for all these years. And anybody that's in office, I'm a firm believer in that I owe the taxpayers my job, and I should respect them 100%, because they're paying for me to be in this position. And people voted for him and all that other stuff. So they was robbed of the American people, and the society was robbed of what really happened, because the trial, it all comes out.
Himself,
they can say anything they want on TV and lie, but when it's in their trial, it's a different animal.
I think that may even speak to, and I may be getting ahead of myself on this conversation, but that may even speak a little bit to whether or not the pardon powers as they currently exist in the U.S. are really even make sense for an American and for the American way. It's very royal feeling. To have a unilateral, just one person decrees, on any federal charge. I mean, what would prevent this is an extreme example, extreme hypothetical, but what would prevent a bad actor in the White House from pardoning, say, a Timothy McVeigh? He had absolute power to do it. There was no.
Yeah, it almost does seem like it's a king. It's like a king off with their head. Instead of this case, it's off with their, whatever they did wrong.
Right.
And I think that's why you won't find too many pardons right before an election. It always happens after they lose, because for some reason, if it was right before an election, there'd be kind of a problem, because the people would go, they're willing to do that. Maybe I shouldn't elect them.
Yeah.
I think they should make all their pardons be before the elections for some reason.
Especially,
I think
for their cronies.
Yeah, but isn't there though? But still, we said that he was noble. He was trying. In other words, isn't there a reason to pardon? We'll talk about this in the next section. But, it seems like healing the nation is a pretty good idea that we ought to do. That's what we're trying to do here on the show. It's like get together and talk about things without attacking each other. All right. So we're going to be right back with a word from our sponsor, and we will see you in a moment.
Aw, Dad.
We need a moon bat symbol for our emojis.
Bob, are you there?
Yeah, they're probably discussing behind the scenes on that end.
Would be surprised.
Yeah, there's always
the one they've missed is the one that I find the most egregious. It ranks number one. Jimmy Carter coming in and pardoning all of the draft dodgers during Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
So the healing, let's see if we can have the healing begin. Yeah. Part of the reason we do this show again is for healing. All right. So everybody, doesn't everybody agree though that was an attempt to do it? It's just like Obama did with the nonviolent drug offenders trying to, quote, heal the nation. I tend to think that's real important. Joe Boy.
Well, I actually like the healing the nation items. I think that when there's an injustice, even with the first one, when he thought, I don't think people should die because they didn't pay a whiskey tax. I think that makes sense that he's trying to right a wrong. And in this case, Obama did try to right a wrong with disproportionate Afro-Americans that were being put in jail for drug crimes. Gerald Ford, Andrew Johnson pardoning the Confederate soldiers. It wasn't just the leaders; it was all Confederate soldiers. And I think that was to say, hey, you know what? It's okay. We're going to come back together as a nation instead of always having this underlying we hate each other forever. And I think that's important, and we kind of need that every once in a while. And so I don't have a problem with the healing based pardons at all.
Okay. Any other thoughts? Okay, let's go into. Yeah, Jeff, you want to just finish on that? You're going to take back what you said. I know Joe Boy basically convinced you that that was the right way to go.
Are you asking?
Yeah, I'm asking you, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, I see what Joe's saying.
There was a value there.
I think that those two examples are kind of apples and oranges. I think that I think that, as I mentioned earlier, with Ford and Nixon, even though it under the auspices of healing the nation, I think it was misplaced. With Johnson, I don't think healing the nation was at the core of what he wanted to do. I think that Johnson was a Southern sympathizer. And, the government was built very differently back then, where like the guy who came in second is named vice president type of stuff that was going on. And I don't think that the motivations between.
Well, is your ancestry in the North, Jeff? I have to ask.
I actually had ancestors on both sides of that war.
Oh, okay. Well, that was the fun thing about the Civil War, right? You had brothers fighting each other. All right. Let's talk about the controversial ones now. I think you're right. The two we talked about at least were well-intended, we'll say. Okay, let's talk about maybe the more self-serving ones. Who wants to go first on the most self-serving of the Don?
I just wanted to say on the pardons, I think, as America, I think we should always, in pardons of the presidential, should wait. They should not be able to pardon anybody until after the trial, until after the stuff is over with.
Bingo.
And I'm a firm believer in that because that gives everybody the chance to make a judgment on that. So I think pardoning power should be limited to after the trial is over with. Then you can pardon people.
So you're more for commutations then? Commutation after the action has gone forward.
There's been recent people that haven't even went to trial yet,
right?
And they've been pardoned before they even got to trial. So
okay,
and that bothers me. That bothers me more than anything. And as like I said, I work for the American people. I work for the government,
right?
And when you work for the government, you work for the people. And even though I was at TSA, so I can't.
Okay, Johnny, give me your most self-serving one.
The Clinton pardoning his brother for distributing cocaine by far.
I would partially agree with John on that, but I would say Clinton pardoning Mark Rich.
Yeah, Mark.
Ooh, that was a good one. Tell us about Mark Rich, Jeff.
It was just so flagrant that, here is one of my big donors, one of my big friends, whose crimes were just absolutely cut and dry.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, here's the part. And then, the Rich family wound up being big contributors to the Clinton Library. The whole thing was just despicable.
Yeah, because he was actually, if I remember correctly, wasn't he overseas at the time? He had escaped. He had left.
He was on the lam.
Yeah, he was on the lam, but his wife was still here, and she was donating lots of money to one particular party, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I'm sure there was no quid pro quo there, right? None at all.
Yeah, a quick thing on the pardons, people got to remember, when you pardon somebody before the trial, it's a mission of guilt. It's still on you. It's guilty. You're not scot-free. You're still guilty on the pardon. People don't remember that. That's still lingering. You're still guilty of a crime.
Yeah. Yeah, that could come into play with the most recent one that we're not talking about. Johnny, do you agree? So what about the Mark Rich one? Did you know much about anything about that?
No, I mean, it's always funny that one political party says, you got to get the people to pay their taxes. And this guy's got 50 million in back taxes he's not paid, and he gets a pardon. And it's just why nobody believes any of the crap that comes out of anybody's mouth now, because nobody actually has to be responsible and held accountable. So once again, why would we ever trust anything they say ever again?
Well, wait a second. Who's they?
Who's the they?
Thank you, Jeff.
Who's the they, man? Who's the they?
They all do it.
We got to clarify. We all.
But on the taxes one, it is typically one side that says they don't pay their taxes.
Right,
Yes, it's all of them that
And there's
engage.
one side that don't pay the taxes, right?
They're all,
You mean
but
like
they're all,
Al
you know how I
Sharpton?
really feel. I think they're all.
Oh yeah.
This side
Well,
doesn't
but for
work like
self-serving,
that.
I wonder, whether or not Reagan was a New York Yankees fan because he pardoned George Steinbrenner.
That's what I was going to talk about.
Okay, Joe, tell us about that.
Okay. Ronald Reagan lets the head of the New York Yankees off. Now, the guy had already paid his fine. He didn't have any jail time. He only did it to remove the conviction, to remove the stigma of you're a criminal. Well, there's a lot of other people that could use that benefit than some multimillionaire that runs the New York Yankees. And I think that was kind of self-serving.
Oh, I don't know. It's only self-serving, I guess, if you're a Yankees fan or something. I don't know.
Right.
Who knows? I didn't think Reagan was that. But
I hate him. I hate him. I hate him. Anything against the Yankees, I'm for it.
So you're against. So you're definitely against the pardon, then, right?
That's right. Anything they got, they should just die.
Well, I think that speaks to a interesting.
And the Dodgers. I hate both of them.
It feels like, a performative pardon that really accomplished nothing in a reality sense, especially considering the whole, he really faced no consequences of note anyhow. Mm-hmm. And so it just becomes almost like a backslap. It's just gross.
Yeah.
Well, you do know there's actually a website you can go to. And this website has a ton of information, and it actually is run by the federal government that lists all the pardons and all the clemencies. And there is a difference between the two. Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
A pardon completely absolves you of the crime. And a clemency only removes or reduces the sentence. You are still considered a convict of that crime. And so there's a big difference in that regard. And so the way I look at it is it needed? Is it something that the president should have? Of course. It can be very useful, especially when we're doing things in war and stuff like that. But can it be overused? Well, of course. I mean, everyone overuses stuff.
Yeah. I think that even interesting if I'm going to say if we ever find ourselves in a position where a president feels the need to pardon his or herself.
Yeah, right. That should never happen.
Gee, I wonder where we're getting that idea. Funny thing is, a president cannot pardon someone who's already been impeached.
Well,
so,
well, I will extend it to the families. You can't, anybody in your family, you can't pardon them either. Anybody, family members, cousins, anybody that's related to you. Because in the government, you can't work with your family members in the areas, so you shouldn't be able to pardon them too. So I'm probably against that.
Unless they were
away.
Unlawfully.
So, yeah, well, what's funny is we'll start with it. A rumor came out or whatever, a thread came out. Somebody had obviously searched this on ChatGPT. And Esquire even wrote an article about it. That Neil Bush, George H.W. Bush's son, had been pardoned for his SNL scandal, and Billy Carter had been pardoned for the Libya $200,000. Neither of it was true, and they both had to pull the articles. But that'd been floating all around the internet over the past 48 hours. All right, we're going to take our next break now. Please subscribe to the show, thirdsideconvo.com, go on Facebook. This is what we're about, is trying to find out the truth of what's happening out there, because trust me, you're not going to get away with saying something that ain't right on this show. Somebody is going to go after you for that one. So we'll be right back after our brief break.
Corona Cigar Company is your one-stop shop.
Hey, Zach, I can't quite hear you. Excuse me, jet engines ruined some of my hearing. So you were starting to say something and I didn't hear it.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah. I can hear you now,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, so could you hear me?
It was difficult to hear you. When they were speaking, it was like, the sound was coming in and you were just
Hurry up and say it. Hurry up and say it, whatever you're going to say.
Yeah, I don't remember now. I was told I have to be quick, so I was just making quick little hot shots or just making a short little, one sentence, not even a sentence, like a 3-word sentence type deal. I don't even know.
They haven't even mentioned the one that I find most egregious was when Carter came in and pardoned everybody who was the draft dodger from the Vietnam.
I'd forgotten about that. I didn't mind so much that he pardoned maybe those who had agreed and gone to
All
jail.
right, let's go on and
rather
get
those
to, we've
that
talked
were
about a
fled to
bunch of
Canada,
them today. Let's go
not
on and
already
kind of
charged.
just see where everybody votes on up or down on these things. I think some of them we've already got a clear choice. Let's talk about the very first one. How about Washington? Absolutely, telling some people they don't have to hang them, even though they rebelled against the government in the Whiskey Rebellion. So Washington's first pardon, yay or nay? Don, okay, up? Yeah, give me thumbs up or thumbs down. Thumbs up? Oh,
What?
man.
There's always
Okay.
one. You want to kill people for not paying their taxes?
I'm kidding.
Hey, come on. Come on.
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, right. Okay. What about Andrew Jackson just happy to pick a guy that had been in a mail thing and then said no, and then he got hanged anyway? Does that sound like a good thing? Hard to say. That's a hard one to vote on that.
He was robbing trains. I'm going to say no on
And he
that.
wasn't
Yeah,
he wasn't getting
he was down. I wouldn't give. I give him a thumbs down.
It was a
Okay.
different thing.
All right. Here we go. Here's the biggie. And Jeff, I didn't know you were going to be so strong on this, but I appreciate it. I actually never heard that much negative about it, but I guess that comes from the fact that my ancestors were in the Confederacy. But Andrew Johnson on Christmas Day, well after the war, decided to pardon them all. You're down on that one.
Awful.
I'm half and half, by the way, if I can get my hands on the camera.
Okay, so we've swayed you a little bit, Johnny, on that. Don, what are you? Come on, Don.
Down.
Okay. All right, that's fair enough.
The soldiers, yes. The officials, no.
No, yeah, that's exactly. I'm with Johnny on that one. I'm half and half.
The soldiers really weren't like the rank and file soldiers.
soldiers,
weren't really
yeah.
about to get prosecuted through the. It was Jefferson Davis and the infrastructure of the Confederate government.
Right.
I'll split.
Oh, yeah, because a lot of these people, I love hearing stories about the Civil War, how they were taking immigrants straight off the ship and putting them straight in the army. What choice do you have then, right? So, okay, so y'all are saying the rank and file you got no problem with. Jefferson Davis, you definitely have a problem with. I do like Robert E. Lee, though. He's pretty cool. That's just me. Just
No,
take
that's
Davis
what
and
it
that's
should
the
be.
rest of them. Okay. All right,
No,
what about
that's-
Nixon's part? Up or down?
I actually
What's that?
thought it was useful.
Donnie? You're going
Who
to...
do we say?
Nixon.
Donnie, in other words, did it heal the nation? Okay.
Should have
Okay,
waited.
that's well enough.
I
Should
mean,
have
it
waited
was
on-
not successful, but I understand why they did it.
Right.
It
No.
did not heal the nation. In fact, it cost Ford his.
It opened the door for Jimmy Carter to be
So
second
it
term.
sounds to me like you're a thumbs down then.
Disaster.
Yeah, but
The
What?
question was it well
there's so
intentioned?
many
The question
questionable
was it
things
worth
looking
doing?
back at Watergate.
Should it have been
and
done?
everything
I guess
that-
is what I'm
I'm
asking.
just saying they should have waited.
If I was in
been
the
done.
same shoes, I would have done it. So, in hindsight, you now know the result. Fine, great. It was a bad thing, but I would have done the same thing if I was in those shoes. So, then that's why I put a thumbs up, because I would do it.
All right. What about Carter's pardon?
Guys.
Okay, this one's interesting. We didn't even talk about this. Jimmy Carter pardoned Peter of Peter, Paul, and Mary for a, we'll just say, illicit act with a 14-year-old.
No,
Oh.
I don't care how famous you are.
An
No.
obvious one.
That's a down. That's a no.
Hey, don't those musicians get all the girls, Jeff? Come on now. Y'all are just cool. I've always wished I could play an instrument. Y'all are always just cool, I tell you. But you would never do that with a 14-year-old. Okay, how about the pardon of George Steinbrenner? Any value there? Yeah, I'd agree. Okay.
I sustain my vote.
All right. Okay, yeah, that's true. You're totally biased, Don. There's no way you could vote on that.
Okay, I'm going to tell you one that I actually have a problem with, and that is Bob wearing a plaid shirt while hosting a show.
Yeah, he always. Yeah,
Look at that shirt. Oh my gosh, you guys are killing me.
well, it
The
is the
Gator.
Gators, and we have gotten a little better. We've actually won a game or
It
two.
makes
That's been nice.
reflections all over a camera. Guys, tell them not to wear a plaid shirt. You're gonna
Look
wear
at the
it
Gator suit on
like
it.
Jeff Nolan.
Look like the gated shoot on that shirt.
Minus
Okay, how about How about Clinton's pardon, okay, of Mark Rich?
Hell no.
That's everybody.
Oh,
Everybody
no,
down.
no.
Come on, we got to get 4
You gotta
thumbs down
turn-
on that. Donnie,
Thumbs
thumbs down on
down.
that one, right? Okay, good.
Yeah,
Thumbs
you
down.
shouldn't-
Okay,
Thumbs
got it,
down.
got it, got it.
Even though I love Bill Clinton, he shouldn't have done it.
Okay, now what about it? Okay, what about him? Now we got more of a self-serving one. What about when Clinton pardoned his brother Roger when he was 20 years old? He had a cocaine thing, whatever.
Nope.
Boy, y'all are a
I'm-
tough
I'm-
crowd.
I'm going down because I don't think family members should pardon anybody, get another president to do it. Family members
Okay.
should not have.
Can I ask a question?
Unless the family
Please.
member was
Not a big
unlawfully
deal.
arrested.
I got a quick question.
Yeah.
I want to know what everyone thinks should be the next pardon. Anyone we think that should be pardoned?
Jay
That's not a
We
politician.
weren't talking.
That's not a
January
politician.
Sixers.
Can
Oh,
we
next
say,
pardon? It's not a politician.
Should Bill Cosby be pardoned?
can we say
Hell no.
what should not
How
happen?
about P. Diddy? No, just kidding.
I would say that the people that really
No, no,
deserve,
just kidding, just kidding.
I would say that the people who really deserve a pardon are almost certainly folks that none of us have ever heard of.
The
Right.
people praying at abortion clinics are good starts.
The people what?
Yeah.
That were praying at abortion clinics should all
Do
be
people go to
pardoned.
prison for praying?
Yep.
I think they go to prison for bombing.
All right.
No,
Preachers,
well,
people who protest
hey, this was
the
a-
murder of children.
It ended up
should
being a
definitely be,
great
pardoned.
show. I know that anybody watching at home and seeing us after the fact, they've learned a lot about pardons. I certainly learned a lot in getting ready for this show. It's so funny, but that's part of what we do on the third side. It's not all about finding common ground, but we found all common ground because we think Mark Rich shouldn't have been, or whatever it is. It's just piece by piece and person by person, we're going to make a difference in this country. Thank you so much for listening to Third Side Convo. Please, again, subscribe, check us out on YouTube, and just have a great time. Next week, by the way, we're going to look at a little bit about the future of DEI. So you're going to want to be around for that one. So
I like
we
that
will talk to you later, and everybody have a
Yeah,
great
put your,
week and a wonderful holidays. Thank you all.